there. So on screen you can kind of see my own sketchnoting, the main note in the center, and then I've pulled out a few sections along the sides to help talk about some specific areas. But I just wanted to highlight on the left there that list of all of the different mind mapping tools and even sketchnoting that you guys checked out last week. You were some busy little bees. As you can see, we had a few tools such as Mind Map, Poplet, and Spider Scribe that multiple students investigated. And then I have a few little icons with my sketch note that kind of stand out. The Spider Scribe was just a little spider that I was drawing as I was reading through your different conversation posts. And obviously it will be difficult for me to forget Spider Scribe after drawing a spider to associate with it. But there was a note with Poplet specifically, and it came up with a few of the others about the role of colors in your preference for these tools. And then Mind Map in particular was listed as plugging in very easily with Google Drive. So you can kind of see where my own sketchnoting and thoughts were going. I just went straight down the list of the discussion and was writing down each of the tools. If someone was exploring a tool that had previously been posted, then I just added a +1 in that line to kind of let me know which tools were being sought after most often. And some of you noticed different issues, whether the tool was available for your preferred platform, if you had issues downloading the tool. And there were even some conversations as you began to dig into each of these tools about, well, should I use the web version or should I use the app version? And I really appreciated that for some of us, many of these tools were familiar. We had tried them already, but they just didn't work for us. And that's worth knowing. That's valuable knowledge. So I think you guys did a great job of going through and exploring these different tools and trying to find ways to fit them into your context, rising with questions about issues and preferences. And along those lines, with the issues and preferences, other suggestions began to emerge. So you'll see that I have kind of an arrow from MC Squares, which was a product that James shared that he's been working with the developer on. And that product reminded me of a classroom application that I've seen recently where a teacher went out and bought whiteboard paint and painted the tops of the desks in her classroom, thereby turning the desks into a giant mind mapping brainstorming tool that students could have access to at their seats. Thought that was pretty interesting, and I was very interested myself in that idea. But then as I kept thinking about this whiteboard concept and portable notes and how to be connected with our notes, that led me to another icon that you see an arrow and a little kind of board looking drawing with a pen, and it says Boogie Board. And that's a product that I've seen featured at a few different conferences and events. They actually had a table at the National Maker Faire talking about where they could easily and portably write notes and have those saved electronically. So different tools that are out there. Another suggestion along those lines, I thought of Lucidchart diagrams, another tool that plugs in with Google. I'm very fond of plugins for Google Chrome and Google Drive add-ons and extensions. And Lucidchart is actually a tool where you can create diagrams. So this is really great if you're getting into systems thinking as well. I used Lucidchart to create all of the model images that are in the 5th edition of the Survey of Instructional Design Models, a recent book that just came out in November from Rob Branch at UGA and I. So Lucidchart is one of my favorite tools, and they do have discounts and freebies for education. So if you're interested in a tool like that, give it a look through. You'll also see the Lucid company again when we get to infographics, because they have a tool to help with creating infographics. Some of the issues that arose, so coming back to number 2, included that old argument that we struggle with internally. Do I want paper or do I want technology? Can I use my technological tools to create mind maps, or do I really just want to sit down with a piece of paper? Which led me to the bottom of the screen where you see the CS icon and a plus and a little elephant in a square. You might recognize that as the Evernote app icon. Sometimes I find myself in a situation where I don't have a choice. I do prefer to be paperless when I can, but If you've ever been in my office, you'll see that I have notepads all around me, and I'm often sketching something down or writing down lists. I'm a big list keeper. If I'm working on something and I need to refer back and forth to some different materials, I often have a notepad that I'm just scratching on. If I need to save those notes, which is quite often, I use the Cam Scanner app. I was using this previously on my iPhone. I now use it on my Moto X, an Android phone. So Cam Scanner is available for Android and iOS. I snap a picture with Cam Scanner of my piece of paper. It then lets me select the boundaries of that paper so I can have a clean edge, and then it can save that as an image or a PDF. I then export it from Cam Scanner into Evernote, give that note a name, a couple of tags to help me find it when I'm searching, and I can archive all of my handwritten notes digitally. So while I do like to be paperless, I do see a need for paper and have created a workflow that lets me blend the two together, and I wanted to share that with you because as designers, we need to share the tools and resources we're using to help one another be successful. That second issue or suggestion kind of preference that came up, plugins in the store. I'm a big Chrome user, so I'm often looking in the Chrome store for extensions, add-ons, anything that works with Drive. So I wanted to mention that Firefox has a similar setup, so you can look for plugins for Firefox if that is your preferred browser. If you prefer to use Safari, they're still developing some of these aspects, but for the most part, Apple has avoided that area, it seems. They've made headway into certain areas. As for Microsoft, if you've been paying attention to the news, if you've upgraded to Windows 10, then Internet Explorer no longer exists as a supported application from Microsoft. Microsoft Edge is the browser that came with Windows 10, and they're forcing all users, or trying to strongly recommend all users, upgrade to Edge. Edge is still a developing browser that does not have a robust set of extensions and add-ons yet. In fact, I just recently ran into this related to the ad blocker note you see on screen. I upgraded my parents' computer over the holidays, got Dad set up with Edge, and then immediately ran into an issue with him accidentally clicking on an ad and getting some malware. And I was trying to find a way to block ads in Edge. Basically, I had to hack his browser to get it done. But if you look back at this last week's discussion, the week 2 discussion, you'll see an interesting design dilemma related to ads, ad blocking, and the battle that is waging with designers and users. So be sure to go back and look at that, which is the second little image you see on screen below ad blocker, the little finger with the bow, a reminder to revisit our discussion. It's very tempting to post, come back maybe once or twice, and then forget about that week. But don't forget that we have some classmates who aren't able to come into the class until Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, where they're responding to your original posts and replies. And conversations can continue to move forward. So that little reminder is to have you go back and look. And as a teaser, to help you go back and look at week 2, I did give you that post with some interesting screen caps and conversation about this design dilemma with ad blocking. So with that, we'll wrap up brainstorming and creativity in terms of how do we get the creative juices flowing, and we'll move into communication and that role in design. Use the on-screen navigation to access another section of this week's overview.
Cold paints the sky just after sunrise.